Let's wind the clock back about 11 years ago. The year is 2014. The San Antonio Spurs just won their 5th championship in franchise history, a beautiful, fluid, offensive masterpiece. Carmelo Anthony was a walking bucket, one of the most feared pure scorers in the league. Your favorite center was getting posterized by the aerial assaults of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. And the Big Three, the trio that changed the landscape of the league, LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh, were all still in Miami, having just lost to the Spurs. 2014 seems like a lifetime ago. A different era, but I want you to guess the most sold jersey in the NBA that year. Was it option A, Carmelo Anthony? Option B, LeBron James? Option C, Kobe Bryant? Or option D, Derrick Rose? If you said LeBron James, you'd be correct. And you'd also be correct for the 2015 season. It wasn't until 2016 that Steph Curry finally overtook LeBron, a passing of the torch that only a unanimous MVP season, one of the greatest offensive campaigns of all time, could accomplish. But from that moment on, for the better part of a decade, the conversation was settled. The top-selling jersey was either Steph Curry or LeBron James. It took a seismic, once-in-a-lifetime event to trade of one of the greatest players of our generation to the biggest market in the NBA for this trend to finally die. But even with the Luka trade, even with a new generation of talent, Steph Curry and LeBron James still finished within the top 3. Video transition. The music shifts to a more serious, foreboding tone. The NBA has a problem, a face of the league problem. We cannot keep relying on a near 41-year-old going into his 23rd season and a 37-year-old 6'3" guard to keep the league afloat. They've defined the entire landscape for nearly 2 decades. But we still insist on it. The superhuman longevity that LeBron James and Steph Curry have shown us, coupled with the strange parity of dominance in the league right now, has created a vacuum. We still don't have a clear answer for who will take the throne once the king and the chef finally hang it up, and we might be in trouble. Because in today's video, we're going to expose your favorite young star looking to claim the throne. This is why your favorite superstar won't be the next face of the NBA. Tyrese Haliburton. The guy gets called overrated once, and the whole league pays for it. He already established himself as one of the best playoff performers in the league, an offensive maestro who can orchestrate a symphony on the court. He's one of the best playmakers in the NBA, dishing out assists at a historic rate while scoring the ball at an ultra-efficient clip. But there's a couple of problems. First, Haliburton doesn't have a real offensive bag like the previous faces of the league. LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant all have super deep and dangerous bags. They are always a threat to get a bucket on you, a walking offensive system unto themselves. Kobe, for sure, had a bag on offense, 1,000 moves in his arsenal. Same with the 10-time scoring champ, Michael Jordan. Larry Bird was one of the greatest 3-level scorers in NBA history. He could beat you from anywhere at any time. But what about Magic Johnson, though? You might ask, he was a passer just like Haliburton. Well, the thing is, Magic Johnson won 5 championships, which brings me to my next point. Haliburton can put up all the fancy stat lines, all-time assist numbers, ridiculous efficiency, and he can even take the Pacers on deep playoff runs. But if he's not winning championships, it's tough to call yourself the face of the league. And bad news for Hallie and the Pacers. Indiana's championship window just took a major hit. Haliburton will be out for at least the entirety of the 2026 season at a minimum. And it's not even a guarantee that he'll come back at full force. Looking at the players that have torn their Achilles outside of the unicorn of Kevin Durant, most NBA stars who suffered this injury like Kobe Bryant, Klay Thompson, Patrick Ewing, DeMarcus Cousins, and Dominique Wilkins never quite came back at the same level of dominance. Their burst was gone, their athleticism sapped. On top of that, Indiana's anchor down low, Miles Turner, just got traded to their biggest rival. And all these young players that brought Indiana to the finals, they're going to be asking for the big bucks real soon. As quick as Indiana's championship window opened, it might have just closed even quicker. You can't be the face of the league if you can't score like a generational star and can't lift up the Larry O'Brien trophy for yourself. The throne requires a combination of individual skill and team success, and right now, the path for Haliburton has become clouded by injury and circumstance. Cade Cunningham has already established himself as one of the best players in the league. He's a 6'6" point guard with the strength of a forward and a super polished offensive game. He's the type of player who can control the pace of a game and get a bucket whenever he needs it. Last season, Cade Cunningham was one of only 9 players in the NBA who had a total production value of over 40, a metric that combines points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. As a matter of fact, Cade Cunningham ranked 4th place in that stat, only behind the likes of Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Elite Company. It's pretty obvious that Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons are only on the way up, but the face of the league might be a bit much right now. To be the face, the first step is to actually be on the court consistently. Cade Cunningham, over his first possible 308 NBA games, missed about 38% of them, or 120 missed games to be exact. That's a massive number. You can't be the face of the league if you're not on the court for nearly 2 out of every 5 games. Availability is the best ability, and it's a prerequisite for superstardom. The fans, the media, the league, they need to be able to rely on you. And let's be real, trying to become the face of the league when playing in Detroit, Michigan, is practically a death sentence. To put his name in the conversation, Cade will need to bring the Pistons back to their former glory of contending for championships year in and year out. He'll need to transform a long-standing losing franchise into a perennial winner. In addition, Cade will need to put up scoring numbers so unbelievably large to ignore just to take the attention off other players with better odds of claiming the face. The chances of this happening, I'm not so sure. The road to the top from a rebuilding franchise is a long, grueling one, and the history of the league is filled with stars who never quite made it because of their location. LaMelo Ball. We watched basketball for pure entertainment and didn't give 2 craps about the score of the game. LaMelo Ball might already be the new face. He pulls off moves that would have had your roster spot on the team questioned just a few decades ago. His playmaking, his scoring, and his feel for the game are next level, just stuff you can't teach. He's already one of the most beloved and stylish players in the league right now, but this isn't pickup basketball, bro. This is the NBA. If we were to compare NBA superstars to food restaurants, LaMelo Ball would be McDonald's. When you eat at McDonald's, it tastes like heaven at first, but then you instantly regret it 20 minutes later. LaMelo Ball will give you the loudest 25 points and 8 assists at night with and 1 mixtape type buckets, but then you look up at the scoreboard and see the Hornets are losing by 30 and routinely have about 20 victories in the win column by April every year, like clockwork. The face of the league has to be a winner. They have to change the culture of a franchise, not just provide highlights. In order for LaMelo Ball to even get some consideration for the face of the league, he needs to show some promise of leading his team to wins and eventually playoff success. It's tough to be the next face of the league when we never see you play come May and June. The postseason is where legends are made, where the true stars are born. And so far, LaMelo's highlight reel hasn't translated to victories on the biggest stage. Paulo Banchero has quickly become one of the scariest matchup nightmares the league has ever seen. He's a 6'10" forward with the skills of a guard and the athleticism of a slasher. He routinely bodies smaller defenders in the post and always blows by bigger men who dare to guard him on the perimeter. I mean, they don't call this guy the man LeBron for nothing, but for Paulo to get even close to LeBron's level, it's going to take a lot. Paulo Banchero simply doesn't draw in the attention that pretty much everyone else on this list does. His game isn't flashy and exciting to watch at all for casual fans, and his personality doesn't mirror that of a true charismatic face of the league. He's a quiet killer, a workhorse. But the face of the league requires something more. It requires a certain magnetic appeal, a personality that transcends the game itself. If Paulo wants any shot at becoming the next face, he'll need to put up unreal and unhuman numbers to make up for his play style and personality. He'll need to average a 30-point triple-double or something equally ridiculous. And he'll need to lead Orlando on many deep playoff runs, showing that he can carry a team on his back. The odds aren't stacked in Paulo's favor, and he'll be fighting a mountain to win this battle. His greatness is undeniable, but it's not the kind of greatness that sells sneakers and jersey sales by itself. Jalen Brunson single-handedly brought back playoff basketball to the city of New York. The city that never sleeps finally had a reason to cheer again. I mean, just look at these fans. They live and die with every single play he makes. He is one of the best scorers in the league, in the biggest market in America. Brunson, despite playing in the most harsh and unforgiving environment in basketball, thrives time and time again in the clutch. Despite being just 6'2", he already has one of the best offensive games in the league, with a dizzying array of fakes, spins, and pull-up jumpers. But Jalen has some major work to do if he ever wants the face of the NBA attached to his name. First, Brunson hasn't achieved anything meaningful enough yet to put himself in the face of the league discussion. His deepest playoff run was this year, where New York made the conference finals, and his greatest personal achievement is probably an All-NBA second-team selection. Of course, these are great feats, but time is ticking for this near 29-year-old star. The previous faces of the league, LeBron, Steph, Kobe, were already multi-time champions and MVPs by this point in their careers. The harsh truth about Jalen Brunson is that he's a 6'2", non-flashy, and non-athletic guard who will have to do something unimaginable to become the face of the league. Looking at all the prior faces from the 80s all the way until today, 6 of the 7 were 6'6" or taller. And pretty much all of these players were either hyper-athletes, had super flashy and electric games, or both. The one player that's on the short side but still managed to dominate the league was Steph Curry, but he did things from beyond the arc that literally bent people's minds. He changed the game. Does Jalen Brunson have the same appeal as LeBron, Curry, or Durant? I'm not so sure. The odds are stacked against him, and the throne requires a unique combination of skill and marketability that he may not possess. Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. Put Ja Morant and Zion Williamson in the same spot for a pretty good reason. Both players are athletic phantoms that sell out arenas quicker than you can say. Well, you know, Ja Morant instantly took Memphis from a team that was in the gutter into a legitimate contender in the West. Zion Williamson was seen at one point as a generational talent with insane efficiency around the rim. He was even hyper-efficient when he made it to the NBA, using his power and athleticism to overwhelm defenders, but they both suffered from the same problems. Off the court, they just can't keep it together. Ja Morant, at the height of his fame, in 2023, flashed a firearm on social media and got suspended for most of the 2024 season. More importantly, he lost any of his marketability. Brands dropped him, the league distanced itself from him, and the public's perception of him was irrevocably changed. But Zion Williamson might be even worse. Off the court, Zion has been struggling with weight issues for about a half a decade. At this point, at least Ja Morant is on the floor playing basketball games when he isn't suspended. Zion Williamson, during his first 6 seasons in the league, where he had the potential to play for 170 total games, has only laced up for 214 of them. He's played in fewer than half of the games he was supposed to. Even worse, Zion was recently sued for serious allegations that have further tarnished his image. It's tough for the number 1 and number 2 picks of the 2019 NBA draft to become the face of the league when you can't even keep a clean image for yourself. More importantly, can't stay on the court. Jayson Tatum has proved he's already one of the next contenders for the face of the league. Deuce has been producing at an elite level for about a half a decade so far, both offensively and defensively. He's been on the All-NBA first team since 2022 and has had more playoff success than most all-time greats around his age, but unfortunately for Tatum, his window might have already closed even before it opened. The Achilles tear he suffered is an injury you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. As we saw with Haliburton, most players have never come back the same after this tragedy. Outside of Kevin Durant, of the stars that have suffered this major injury, none of them have come back to the league with the same production, which is pretty bad news for Tatum because his best might not even be good enough. If you want to be the face of the league, your dominance cannot be put into question. Normally, when your team does really well in the regular season, this is normally the time where the superstar on this team cashes in their check and normally wins some big award like the MVP, right? Well, in 2024, when the Celtics finished with a 64-18 record, 7 wins better than any other team. By the way, Tatum didn't even finish top 5 in MVP voting. The narrative was clear. It's not Tatum and the Celtics. It's just the Boston Celtics with Jayson Tatum along for the ride. Additionally, in 2024, Jaylen Brown won both the conference finals and finals MVP. After Tatum's career-threatening injury and the Celtics' age and contracts starting to catch up to them, their championship window that most faces of the league capitalize on might have already ended. You need to win consistently and take home big-time awards to call yourself the face of the NBA, and Tatum hasn't done either. Anthony Edwards over the last 2 seasons has quickly put himself in the conversation as the next face of the league. There's no better way to cement yourself in this discussion than to beat the current faces of the NBA during the postseason. The true passing of the torch, am I right? And has the excitement of a Jordan or LeBron. He has the mentality of the Mamba and the charisma and personality of all the previous faces of the league. He just gets it, and is still missing one thing, though. In order to really put yourself in that face of the league conversation, you need more than just a couple cute conference finals runs. Just imagine you're at your family's summer cookout, and you finally beat that one uncle in a one-on-one, but then your cousin comes and whoops your ass the next game. That's the situation that Anthony Edwards finds himself in right now. You can beat all the old heads you want in the playoffs, but if you can't finish the job against the other next potential faces of the league, the Luka Doncic, the SGAS, the Giannis, those wins don't really mean a lot. You need to finish the job and come back home with the Larry O'Brien trophy in your hands if you want to be the next face of the league. Luka Doncic, at just the age of 26, has already proved that he's a generational talent. He's a one-of-one offensive force. In his last healthy season in the league, Doncic averaged a near 34-point triple-double while knocking off your favorite Western Conference contender in 2024 to bring Dallas to its first NBA Finals appearance since. Another white superstar was on this team. Luka Doncic, already at the age of 26, has 5 All-NBA first-team selections. Not even Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, or Scottie Pippen could do that, by the way. But let's slow down 1 second. Luka Doncic is a one-of-one talent on offense, but the defense simply isn't there. I mean, come on, bro. His weight and conditioning issues have held him back his entire career. It's also tough to be the face of the league when half of the NBA fan base can't stand your constant complaining to the refs, your horrible body language, and your emotional outbursts. The face of the league is supposed to be a leader, an unflappable force. Luka's constant crying to the refs, his flailing arms and pouts, just doesn't fit the mold. Luka Doncic definitely has the tools to become the next face of the league, but he's going to need to take it up a level, just like pretty much everyone else mentioned in this video. He's going to need to win championships and awards to have a real shot in this discussion. Luka Doncic needs to go from All-NBA first teams and finals appearances to MVPs and championships won. You can't be the face of the league when you cry like a toddler to the refs and still can't win any major achievement yet. Victor Wembanyama has got off to a start in the NBA that even the GOATs couldn't get off too. In his first 117 games, Wemby has scored more total points than LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, and Jayson Tatum at the same stages of their careers. He's come down with more rebounds than 7'6" Yao Ming, Kevin Love, and Dwight Howard. He's rejected more shots into the stands than legends like Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Shaq, and Dikembe Mutombo. And he's drained more threes than Ray Allen, James Harden, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry throughout their first 117 games. The numbers are simply unreal, but Wemby is in for a rude awakening to claim this title of the face of the league. We've only seen 17 NBA players who are 7'3" or taller, and only 8 of them have played a significant career in the NBA. As a matter of fact, 7 of the 8 Giants that have played in the NBA played less than 12 seasons. The one exception was 7'3" big man Rick Smits for the Indiana Pacers in the 90s, a decent all-star, but far from what Wemby aspires his career to be like. The truth is, if you want to be the face of the NBA, you need to play basketball for a really, really long time. Looking at the last 4 faces of the league, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and Steph, all 4 of these players played 15+ seasons, played at least 1,000 games in the league, and extended their primes well into their late 30s and even early 40s. Wemby is a generational talent, but he's playing in an era where it's near impossible to stack awards like MVPs, Finals MVPs, championships, and even Defensive Player of the Years. A true requirement of being the face is having the hardware to back up the title. His competition for these awards and the face of the league is unreal. If Wemby can't play a long and fruitful career and can't rack up the hardware of the previous stars, I don't see him taking the throne. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander realistically has the best odds to become the next face of the NBA. To be the face of the league, you need to check off a lot of boxes. And luckily, Shai has been on a mission at just 27 years old. To be the face, you need to be an undeniable talent where people can unanimously agree you're a top 2 or 3 player in the league year in and year out. So far, Shai has done that, and he's on that path. Next, you need to have your name written all over the most prestigious awards in the league. Well, Shai just came off the most accomplished season since Prime Shaq or even Michael Jordan. He's collecting hardware like it's going out of style. Next, your team, of course, needs to win championships pretty consistently for about a span of a decade. The OKC Thunder just won a title this year and have one of the youngest teams in the league with no signs of chemistry issues or egos colliding, with a mountain of draft picks still available in the next few years. Finally, you need to be a charismatic figure who even transcends just basketball but makes his way into modern culture. Well, I'm not so sure if Shai has done all that, but he definitely has a larger-than-life personality to him. But there's just one issue for SGA. We're playing in an era where it's harder than ever to stack championships, Finals MVPs, All-NBA first teams, and any other awards you can think of. We've seen 7 new NBA champs over the last 7 years. And based on what the NBA looks like right now, I doubt this trend will stop anytime soon. The competition in the NBA right now is like no other era. SGA clearly has the talent to be the next face, but can the Thunder consistently be a top contending team for a championship? And can SGA consistently keep his name in the MVP race and the best player in the league discussion? After all this, it's only up to the fans if they accept him. Shai can be as good as he wants to, but if the fans see you as a free throw merchant, that needs to act like a fish flopping out of water just to score. Fans won't just anoint you as the next face of the league just because you're successful. If you want to be the next face of the league, fans need to accept your greatness. It can't be forced down their throats. So, did your next pick for the future face of the NBA get exposed? Let me know in the comments who you think will succeed LeBron, Steph, and KD. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and a sub. See you.